Hello and welcome to Deccan Herald's special election edition of DH Sparks. I'm Ahmed Shariff, and today we have an exclusive panel joining us live from Assam. And today we are going to discuss the state elections. As you know, Assam is defined or identified by the identity politics of the state. Now, CAA and NRC is a big issue here. And whom will Assam choose to address this issue? And not just this issue, but the other issues like the persistent floods in the state and the tea workers, the status of the tea workers. Today, our panel will discuss about this and more. Before I hand over the baton to my moderator, there's a poll question for those who are joining us on Zoom. Those on YouTube and Facebook Live won't be able to join us. I request them to click the link in the description and join us to answer this poll question. So here's the poll question. The poll question is, will the Citizenship Amendment Act overshadow the other issues that Assam is facing? It is yes, no, or doesn't matter. Zoom audience, please go ahead and give your polls. Now, while our audience is giving the polls, I would like to introduce our moderator for today, that is Miss Amrita Madhukalya. She is the assistant editor of Earshot.
Hello.
So from one podcaster to another, Amrita, here, over to you.
Thank you. So every time we talk about...
please unmute yourself, Amrita. I think we're not able to hear you.
Okay, I've unmuted myself. Can you hear me now?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. So every time we talk about polls in Assam, most of Assam's polls and most of the elections that take place in Assam is always, it veers around the issue of identity, the issue of ethno-nationalism, and it's always about if outsiders have taken over space in the land or not. So keeping all of that in context, keeping in context the fact that the state has seen a huge round of protests against the CAA, the Citizenship Amendment Act, in the last few months and years, we bring to you this discussion on whether the CAA and the NRC are going to have any sort of an effect on this year's Assembly elections 2021. So to discuss all of this, we have with us Sushanta Talukdar, who is the editor of NEZINE. We have with us Aman Wadud, who is a human rights lawyer, who's been taking up cases of people whose names are not in the NRC. We have with us Netraranjan Choudhury from the Congress, and we have with us Swapnanil Barua from the BJP. Now let's tell you what the answers of the, let us take a look at the answers of the quick poll that we just had.
So here are the poll results. All right, so it's pretty interesting and not surprising actually. We asked the audience, will CAA overshadow the other issues that Assam is facing? 50% have said yes. It'll overshadow. 25% have said no, and the other 25% have said that it doesn't matter. Yes, Amrita.
Okay, so to understand how, we'll go on. We'll try and not beat around the bush, and we'll go over to speaking about the precursor to the Citizenship Amendment Act, which is the National Register of Citizens, a process which has been a very contentious one, a process which has been a huge demand in the state for a very long time. So my first question is to Mr. Netra. I would like you to tell us why the Congress, a party which started the movement of started the demand for the NRC, the National Register of Citizens, and it started the process under the Tarun Gogoi-led government. It is now demanding a new NRC in its poll manifesto. So why do you think is the reason that a party that started the manifesto now wants a completely different one, once that the whole process has ended? Can you tell us why?
Well, as you correctly said, that the process was started from the late CM Tarun Gogoi ji. Unfortunately, that government changed, and though it was monitored by Supreme Court, it was the responsibility of the concerned state government. Over 50,000 government employees were utilized, and then almost 1,600 crores of taxpayer money was spent for this whole NRC exercise, and which was really required for Assam's long pertaining issue. Now, when the first draft came out, it showed almost 40 lakhs names were not appearing. Lots of uproar were there, and then there was a revisions happened, rectifications, and finally we realized that almost 19,000 names are still missing. the concern here is that there are, yes, we do agree, there are lots of anomalies. Even in a single family, you will find that either husband is name is there and wife is not name not present. There are freedom fighters, for example, Fakhruddin Ali Ahmed, our president, his own cousins' names are also not appearing. We have got Chabulal Upadhyay, who used to be the Assam Associations, which was first of its kind union. His name is not present. The first matriarch, female matriarch from Assam movement, Baijanti Devi, and many other Gorkha people's names are also not present. What we mean to say is that there are lots of anomalies. There is no denying about it. However, our demand is that rectification has to be corrected. If you see this NRCs, it was when it was declared, it was said that within 120 days, days was increased from 90 to 120 days, they will be given a chance to apply to provide their justification, and for that some notification has to be reached to the people where names were removed. This has not been happened because the results were not as per the expected lines of BJP. Now we are not demanding, as we are saying, we are not demanding a new NRC. The only BJP is demanding a new NRC because this is not falling into their agenda. We are saying that this correction has to be done, which is not yet been done. I mean, the NRC's names, what will happen to those people? Just imagine the mental trauma they are having. This 19 lakhs people are still not sure what will happen to them, whether they will be stateless, whether they will be getting a fair chance to represent their case. So nobody knows. They are in a very mental trauma they are living. So we want this correction process should be completed, which BJP government is ignoring, and probably, as many of their senior leaders are saying, they may be looking for a fresh NRC. Then what will happen to that 1600 crores of taxpayer money? And they were the people who were actually responsible for a smooth execution of this process. So that was their failure.
So let's go over to Swapnil and ask him this question. I mean, the BJP has definitely demanded, has said that it is going to bring in a new NRC, and the NRC was finished during the time of the BJP's first government in Assam. The BJP, the NRC is Supreme Court mandated procedure. Can you tell us why is the BJP demanding a new NRC? Are the reasons the same that the Congress has? You need to unmute yourself, Swapnil. Sorry, you need to unmute yourself. Can you unmute yourself? Okay, just a second. We'll figure it. Okay, yes, it's fine now. Yes.
Well, we don't want a new NRC. That is, I don't know where from my friend from the Congress has got the bright idea. We have only talked about revision or further checking of the NRC in the bordering districts, and also a random check of the other entries. This is required because it has pleased neither the Congress, as he has said, nor his constituents, and it has definitely not left us, because I thought someone made a passing remark about 2 people being left out from the NRC who are in the show today. So the NRC has pleased no one. We need a correct document, and every step will be taken by the government, or at least we'll pursue with the Supreme Court that this needs to be a correct document, acceptable to all. And so please allow us, or please set in motion the exercise of having a correct NRC.
Okay, since a lot of the conversation around the NRC has taken over the mind space of the people in Assam, especially the voters in Assam in the last few weeks and last few years. I mean, one of the major conversations in the Assam in Assam political sphere has been about the NRC and then the CAA. So my question now to Sushanta is that, do you think that the NRC will be a poll issue in the Brahmaputra Valley as well as the Barak Valley? Do you think that this is going to be impactful? The NRC, the process of the NRC specifically, will have any sort of a consequence electorally for any party in Assam this year?
I think am I audible? Yeah.
Yes, you are.
I think the NRC didn't figure much in the first phase of electioneering, and it has only come now. When closer to the first phase, the BJP has released its manifesto, and wherein it has reiterated as Mr. Barua has said that they are seeking a re-verification in border districts. So now it's being talked about now, but in the first phase, which covers a major part of the Brahmaputra Valley in the upper Assam, eastern Assam and the northern Assam, the issue, other issue on the related to identity is talked about is the issue of Citizenship Amendment Act. That is more talked about because it was there, it was pushed by the Congress also as one of its guarantee. And also there was a campaign by the BJP over the alliance of the Congress with AIUDF as one of the constituents of the Mahajot. So I think in the Brahmaputra Valley, till now the electioneering that has taken place, it is primarily the Citizenship Amendment Act that is being discussed as. I mean, I'm not sure how far this will be translated into votes and all. This is still we'll have to see. And often the protests are not translated into the EVMs in the form of mandates. That only the results can show. But I just would like to add a couple of facts. Like since 2016, BJP promised implementation of the Assam Accord in letter and spirit, and helped it win a huge majority in particularly in the Brahmaputra Valley, where it won as many as 49 seats. Okay. So in 2019, it enacted the CAA, and which tempered the core clause of the Assam Accord. So that has become an issue. Like, and we have to keep to take into account in 2019 BJP went to poll when it was still a cab and won as many as 9 seats out of 14 Lok Sabha seats. So their confidence stems from the fact that since people already voted on the issue of cab, so then this issue might not be dominating this election as in this election. And this that Lok Sabha poll, if we just analyze the voting pattern, then we can see a lot of votes also cast against the BJP. Even the AJP votes accounting for around 14 lakhs, also they didn't win a single seat. So even if we take AJP votes cast in favor of AJP, where votes cast against CAA, so this might be figuring a lot in this assembly elections. So the CAA is an issue, but I can say that it is not the only issue, only narrative. It is not the only narrative. Assam election is also about development issues. It is also an issue about as you have rightly mentioned in the very beginning, about the wages of tea garden workers. It's also about the unemployment. It's also about price rise. So there is not a single polarizing issue, although there are efforts to polarize around a single narrative.
Yeah. But isn't the CAA being put on the back burner, sir, for now? Like at least in the narrative that we're seeing in Assam elections, not many parties are talking about it.
No. No. The Congress has already made it one. Congress has already made it one of the 5 guarantees. Yeah. Put it in the 5 guarantees. That has made it a part of the electoral narrative. Okay. One. But then the movement has died down. The anti-CAA movement that was intensified, it actually lost its steam during the COVID-19, and it has not. But then we cannot. I mean, I can still feel that probably the silent vote could be also around the issue of CAA. But it is not the only narrative that is setting the electoral narrative for the entire state.
Can I come in?
Yes, of course.
I think Talukdar has not really been able to get into the thing. It's a very simple issue. CAA is a question of refugees. NRC is a question mostly talking about infiltrators or citizens. Now, so far as the CAA is concerned, it is in the second page of priorities of the manifesto of all the parties, if you have a look at. And even Congress, although it has put it there, it has said that it will not put the CAA into action in Assam. I mean, its mandate is limited to self, that we will not allow the CAA to happen in Assam. Now, whether that is possible of a central act is a separate issue. I will not go into the legal semantics of it. But the fact remains that the cutoff date is December 14 for refugees. They'll have to apply, they'll have to prove themselves that they were victims of suppression or oppression in the neighboring countries or their countries of origin so that they can qualify for citizenship. Now, in figure terms, it was initially touted that it is an open-ended program and all the big, Hindus of Bangladesh would come to Assam, and thereby the figure would be nearly in the region of 2 crores or something of that sort. But people realized that there was not even an application of in hundreds for seeking citizenship under the CAA. And it is unlikely to be because, 71 has taken care of most of the people, the Assam Accord. The agreement has taken precedence over the law in giving them citizenship. And most of the people who would have come from Bangladesh are already citizens of India by virtue of the NRC. Most of them have their names in NRC. So far as the rest of it is concerned, it will be a minuscule number, which really doesn't make an impact. Congress has realized that, but they are trying to they tried and weighed to create an issue which did not spark up. They tried to provoke other political and non-political players into the fray, but that too has not really picked up. And if CAA was an issue mostly in Upper Assam, now the elections are day after. And if it has been bypassed as an issue, I don't think it's an issue anymore in the rest of the elections. So I think this should be made very clear that one is for citizens, one is for refugees, and the refugee numbers, most of them have already been included in the, have enrolled themselves as citizens under the Assam Accord, and there are a few who maybe have been left out, and they too I don't think would be very keen because their children by law would be citizens of India being born in India.
I'd like to go over to Aman in this and ask him, because Aman has been one of the people who has been fighting the cases of people who say their names are not in the NRC even when they were born in Assam or they were in Assam before 1972, the cutoff date. Aman, could you tell us that is the Citizenship Amendment Act and the NRC both, are these poll issues to the people who have come to you for these cases? Do you think that these are going to have effects? I mean, they're going to vote on these particular issues?
Before coming to your question, let me tell you that NRC was not to please anyone. NRC was to find out who Indian citizens are and who are illegal migrants, point number one. And if NRC was to detect infiltrators like the senior BJP spokesperson says, why did Mr. Ahmed Jaishankar was on 31st August 2019 was in Bangladesh and appeasing Bangladesh government by saying that is our internal matter. Time and again, the government of India have told the Bangladesh government this is our internal matter. If at all the honorable spokespersons feel that this is for infiltrators, I think he should also tell his high command that let us stop appeasing the Bangladesh government by telling that this is not internal matter. If we find out illegal migrants, we should take them back. Let me give you a figure. Till last year, July 2020, 135,000 people have been declared as foreigners. Guess how many people deported? Only 4 people. This is not my figure. This is what the government of Assam said before the Honorable Supreme Court in an affidavit, right? Now coming to a question that if at all these are issues for people, CAA came later on, but NRC was not supposed to be the issue this election. NRC was initiated because to solve this problem, to solve the problem of illegal migration. Now, every person, every community, respected senior journalist, Mr. Sushanta Talukdar will agree with me. Everyone very peacefully took part in it. Very peacefully. No one protested, nothing. It was a Supreme Court order. Everyone peacefully took part in it. The community that I belong to took part in it because they wanted a closure from these, persecutions which have been going on in the name of illegal migrant. Indian army people have been declared as foreigner, sent to detention center, poor people who are born to Indian parents, people who have documents of 1930 to 38. I myself have fought those cases. Every one of us wanted a closure. We don't want our dignity to be stripped every day, like it happens in every election. That is why we took part in the NRC process. We wanted, that there should be a free and fair NRC. There were there were unprecedented amount of harassment. Everyone knows that. People have died, they have committed suicide. Despite that, there was no violence whatsoever. The government of India sent paramilitary forces across minority districts. When the draft came out, they apprehended there would be some kind of violence. I will tell you, in our area or in many Muslim-dominated area, the paramilitary forces end up becoming chief guests in sports event, in a school event, in wedding ceremonies, so much so that by the time the final list was announced, there were no paramilitary forces. Government of Assam, even Sarvanda Sonowal, the Honorable Chief Minister, said that, we don't apprehend any violence right now. Everyone took part in it peacefully. We wanted a free and fair NRC. 19 lakh people have been excluded from the NRC. There are people like my cousins, my uncle, auntie in the NRC, my cousins are out, God knows why. Everyone wants that they should go before the Foreigners Tribunal and prove their citizenship, right? If any right person is out of the NRC, they should go before the Foreigners Tribunal. We are ready for it. Whoever it may be, we are ready for it. Lawyers like me will fight pro bono their cases. We will defend their citizenship. Now, where is the issue of illegal migrants coming into the NRC? Who implemented the NRC? Tell me. The NRC was monitored by the Honorable Supreme Court. The government of Assam, which government? The government under the BJP government, they implemented it. 55,000 government employees implemented it. Now you want to tell me that you don't have faith in your own procedure, in your own exercise? God save them. God save us then. If you do not have faith in your own employee, what else can we say?
Well, my answer to that is that the word is acceptable NRC to all. I qualify the statement acceptable. And so far as execution of the work, it was Supreme Court which was giving directions. Assam government was left out. The Mr. Hajela was operating on his own, taking orders from the Supreme Court. He did not take orders from the government in power. So Assam government provided the employees, but it was basically a Supreme Court directed, controlled, monitored action.
So it was supposed to be a Supreme Court. He was supposed to obey Supreme Court order, not from your government, sir. He was supposed to obey the Supreme Court. Tell me.
It was and will be a Supreme Court monitored situation.
Please finish your points.
It was and will be.
Sir, this process was supposed to be monitored by the Honorable Supreme Court. Pratik Hajela was answerable to the Supreme Court. He answered to the Supreme Court, and I don't think he violated any order, right? So your government implemented this, and I want to know, sir. I want to know, sir. When will it become acceptable?
Just listen to me. Don't try to be a very good lawyer. Just listen to me that this was an exercise done by the Supreme Court, by the coordinator of the NRC, and it was only the government employees who were provided by the government of Assam. And like the election process as it happens, that all employees of the government of Assam are now under the disposal of the Election Commission of India. So far as the NRC exercise was concerned, all people of the government of Assam was placed under the NRC establishment to do. And they didn't take orders from the government of Assam in any aspect.
Okay, now if we move on, from the NRC.
Now I think you're talking
just
about
one point. See, we understand. That's just to add one point here.
If you want anything more about the polls, we can come to it.
So we were
just one point I'd like to see. Okay, whatever. The final NRC was declared on 31st August 2019. No.
Come to the polls.
I'm coming to that point, sir. I have got only one point. That 31st. Yes, sir.
We'll have a quick comment from Mr. Netraranjan, and then we'll move on to the next topic.
Sure. So my request is that, see, we understand, okay, fine, that, it was implemented and there were lapses, okay? There is no denying. It could be, considering the huge exercise, there could be procedural lapses. Fine, and this final NRC was declared on 31st August 2019. Since then, what is the development?
Please, I think.
What happens to this 19 lakh people?
Can I please respond to the Congress spokesperson? If you think there are lapses, why is your party saying that there should be no verification? I don't think you are.
No. That's what I'm telling you. That's what I'm coming to that point only. No. That's what I'm saying.
Sorry,
the BJP is simply sitting on the final. They are finally sitting on the NRC. They are literally doing nothing because this is not fulfilling as per their expectations.
So since all of us have agreed that the NRC perhaps might not have as much of a consequence as the CAA might be. So let's speak about the CAA a little bit. I want to ask you, Swapnil, this question. See, when the manifestos were released of the BJP's poll manifestos, and the poll-going states have been released. With respect to NRC, what we've said, what the party has said in Bengal is that they're going to bring the CAA in Bengal, and in Assam, the party seems to be quiet on the matter on the manifesto. Do you see trouble brewing in Assam?
I have already answered your question, lady. It's a state-specific issue. Tamil Nadu will not have any CAA problems. Madhya Pradesh will not have any CAA problems. It's Assam, Bengal, and other issues which will be having CAA problems.
So I just wanted to understand from you, are we not implementing the CAA in Assam?
Please listen to me and get an idea of the whole thing. The CAA will not be an issue in Sibsagar. It will not be an issue in Jorhat, Dibrugarh. It might be an issue in Lahorighat and other constituencies. So we have not raised the issue because the CAA, so far as we are concerned, is about the refugees of applying for citizenship, provided they can prove that they were prosecuted and had to leave their country of origin. As simple as that.
We understand the basics of the law. We do understand the basics of the law. We just wanted to understand if the law is going to be a pan-India law, it's going to be implemented. No, I understand the basics of the law. I understand the difference between refugees and not. What I'm trying to understand is the difference between the law being implemented in Bengal and Assam. Because is it going to be implemented in Bengal? Is it going to be implemented in Assam alone? Or is it not going to be implemented?
For the refugees, wherever they are staying to apply for.
Okay.
And
so you mean
something
the
CAA matter of the government. Citizenship is a union affair. It's the state government has nothing to do about it.
I get it. But the state government is fighting for election. Basically, that's what we want to. We are now clear on the issue that the CAA could be implemented in Assam once the elections come around. Moving on to Netra.
The Chief Minister has made it very clear. It's a national act. If there is any person in Assam with that application, his application has to be considered on its due merit, provided he fulfills the conditions laid down in the law and the rules framed thereunder.
Okay.
I want to come in.
Is there any controversy about it?
Can I come in? Can I?
Yes, please, Sushanta.
Yeah. No, it's fine. I mean, the positions are clear to us. I mean, whether it's going to be implemented. Yes, it's a central act. BJP is going to implement it whenever it is in power. Congress doesn't want it, so it will not implement. But the question is why it has not been included in the manifesto in Assam and why it has been included in the manifesto.
I have made it very clear. It is not an issue for us. It's an administrative issue.
Can I just finish my? Yeah. So I mean, why it is because once a manifesto is created or published to create perception among the voters.
No, please.
No.
Let me, Mr. Talukdar, if you allow me, the consensus of the people.
Okay, let one of us go one by one. Let Sushanta see what he has to say, and then we move on to what Swapnil has to say. Is that fine?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Barua sir, I'm not nobody to allow you or not because I'm not the moderator. I'm just trying to express. Yeah.
I mean, no offense intended.
No. So my perception is that BJP has avoided including CAA in its manifesto because its first phase of poll is important for it. It has high stakes. In last election, BJP and AJP together secured as many as 35 seats. And it has a constituency of ethnic Assamese and other ethnic community voters who had a support base against this act. So they don't want this CAA to be an electoral narrative in the first phase. And that is why they avoided. It doesn't changes its policy or principle as far as the act is concerned. It simply doesn't want CAA to be an electoral narrative in the Brahmaputra Valley in the first phase. So that's why, and also in other part, because we just have to, when we talk about the identity issues, see, BJP doesn't hide its intention when it talks about refugee and infiltrator. Infiltrator by it means the Muslims and the refugees, the Hindus and other non-Muslims. So its positions are clear. And in the Assam Accord has a narrative of really a linguistic binary, Assamese versus Bengali speaking. So if both Muslim and Hindu, the migrants come, post-71 migrants come, then it is going to pose threat to the Assamese speakers, Assamese identity, Assamese language and culture. That is one narrative. So from this binary of linguistic binary, BJP wants the binary of religion to take place the center stage, the Hindu versus Muslim. And that's why they want the linguistic binary not to take center stage. And they didn't want car to be an issue, electoral issue. But still, when on interviews, even Chief Minister and the other ministers and other campaigners, they maintain that car is going to be implemented all over the country.
I want to dwell a little bit longer on the identity issue with you, Swapnil. What we would like to understand is, Sushanta, what we'd like to understand is that the two new parties that have come up right now, the Raijor Dol and the Ahom Jatiyo Porikhod, and both these people are going to, both these parties are going to be fighting the elections on the issue of identity. Basically, taking forward the identity politics now that the AGP has been is a watered down version of itself. Do you think that these two parties are going to be able to steer the conversation back to the ethno-nationalism debate?
These parties are new, and they have not. They don't have any that much of organizational strength to change or create the narrative they wanted to create.
Yes.
So so this is the first election they are contesting, and then in a little span of formation and the elections taking place. So they are trying to build up the narrative, but then we will have to watch. But then I see that the formation of the new regional party is going to put the identity issues and the Assamese nationalism into a new trajectory, which will be beyond electoral participation.
Now, moving on to Netra, I want to ask you this question. This is something at the back of everybody's mind. The Congress's alliance with the AIUDF. Now, there is this
organization of the... Can I react to Talukdar's point before that?
Yes, but so quite quickly because we're running out.
Normally the anchor who runs out of time, but it's the other way around today.
I know we're running out of time, so we have to do it a little quickly, if that works.
The thing is that we have come out with our manifesto. There is no part to it. The first phase is yet to be held, second phase is yet to be held, third phase is yet to be held. So we have nothing to hide. The proponents of Assamese nationalism were there in the fray. That was their turf. They forced 46 seats. Whether they've been able to raise the issue of Ka in the electoral process in the 47 seats that are going to polls on the 27th, I really don't know. I don't have the information. But from the looks of it, it hasn't been able to. Okay. And the most suspicious thing is that the AIUDF has not yet come out with this manifesto when the polls are just a day or two away, which means that they could possibly hiding something which they don't want in the first half, first phase of the election to come, and leave it to use it as a trump card or a flagged issue in the second and the third phase.
Since we're talking about the AIUDF, that's a question I'd like to speak about with
Amrita. Before Netraranjan talks about the AIUDF question, we'll have a quick poll about taking a leaf out of what Mr. Talukdar had on the new entrants in Assam polls. So can we have the poll question, please? So the question to our audience who are joining on Zoom is that will the new entrants, Akhil and Lurinjyoti Gogoi, be the disruptors this elections? What do you think about that? Will they be disruptors? Will they be the disruptors or take away the votes from the main parties, or will they have no effect? So those who are joining us on Facebook and YouTube, please click the link in the description and join us on Zoom and go ahead and give your poll. Yeah, Amrita, you can go ahead.
Okay. So this is a question that I would like to throw to Netra because of the Congress's alliance with the AIUDF. The Congress's alliance with the AIUDF has been perceived to be a move that might cost it electorally, especially in Upper Assam. So Netra, what led to the Congress going public with its alliance with the AIUDF? in previous years, in previous situations, we've seen them have an alliance with the IUDF after the polls are announced, after the results are announced. But this time you went ahead and got, went public with it. So do you think it makes electoral sense? Do you think that it is going to blow back on you in some sense? Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Well, very pretty much clear about what we want to do. And just from the time of movement, we appealed all, organizations and parties to come united and fight against these, um, uh, um, BJP force and these, forces of polarizations. Not only UIDF, we have got alliance into other parties also. So this is it's all happened pre-poll. We are not keeping any agenda, post-poll equations, and look, there is no wrong into it. They are also a recognized party, and though BJP is trying its best, whenever we are posing any questions on issues of their vision document, on the development related issues, they will always direct to Ajmal. He is not I'm of course not a spokesperson of EIDF, so I cannot reply on any questions pertaining to EIDF. But then the way they are spreading issues of polarizations in the name of Ajmal, this is also not correct. At least this is far better than when they were having alliance with PDP in Kashmir. Now even BJP had Jila Parishads, collaborations with EIDF in past. So that time it was acceptable. And suddenly when Congress is into alliance, BJP is trying to divide the vote, and they're openly saying that we don't need the votes of Muslims. They are saying 35 is to 65, and all these things we are hearing from the senior leaders of BJP. They see the social fabric of Assam is different. It might be possible in rest of the India, but they were trying best to polarize the voters of Assam in terms of religions. And whenever we are proposing any development issues, now people of Assam is asking them pertinent questions. What about your 476 assurance in your vision document? What about all your promises from your 2016? And look at the statistics also from Government of India data. It's also shows about the misgovernance and the state we are into since Congress government. Take out any issues, be it women issues or unemployment, even GSDP and all. So whenever we are raising these issues, they want to divert it to the Ajmal issues. So I think people of Assam are well aware of all these divisive strategies of BJP, and they will respond.
Yeah.
Okay,
before we go ahead further into the conversation,
I think
we'll open up. It's time to open up the Q&A section for our audience, Amrita. So what we'll do is, those who are joining us on Zoom, please go ahead and ask your questions to our panel. That will be great. And yes, go ahead, sir. You are replying.
Swapnil, you were replying.
What I was saying is that, we are, if you look at the manifesto, nearly half of it is dedicated to women. And the greatest of them is the Arunodaya scheme, which is empowering women, not in the household, to really be not the bread earner, but an independent woman who does not have to stretch out to her husband for some money, to her sons for some money, or children for some money. There she is on her own, and she has the free will to spend it. And we expect, as we have seen, that she would be doing it for the benefit of the entire family. And besides that, you've seen our Scooty program, you've seen that'll take your whole program as the amount of, because we feel that this is a battle of the status of women in Assam. Our adversaries are trying to bring them back to the medieval ages, making them baby-making machines, as our minister, our health minister keeps on saying, Himanta Biswa Sharma says. They are trying to put them behind the burqa. They are trying to deny them education. And, a whole kind of a medieval atmosphere is trying to be created, which was not there even in their community a few years ago, till the appearance of Mr. Ajmal on the scene.
So what about maternity mortality rate in Assam? Can you please give us some information?
Yes,
India,
please.
what is India's stand? Can you please tell us what is the crime against women and where is Assam stands?
Infant mortality, please, sir, if you just go and do the district statistics, you will see which region has the highest infant mortality?
Well, crime against women is 3 times the national average in Assam, sir.
Let's not steer the conversation. I want to come to Aman and ask him a question, especially because we're talking about this, because we dwelled a very long time on Ajmal. So I'd like to ask you this question, Aman. You know, the BJP government has jailed Akhil Gogoi, who's tried to position himself as like a son of the soil. Now, Akhil Gogoi from the jail has said that he, like the BJP, has gone all guns blazing against Badruddin Ajmal, a man who is a member to India's parliament. Why do you think we all love to hate Badruddin Ajmal? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Before coming to your question, let me also answer. You know, this kind of sweeping statement from a very senior person is very responsible. Saying that, you know, making baby making machines, pushing behind the burqa. No one is pushing behind the burqa. Sir, I think you should also meet people from this community, go to these areas and see, you know, how they are going to English medium school. They're getting into medical, they're going into engineering.
Oh yes, that is what we are welcoming.
Please allow me to finish, sir. Please allow me to finish. So please allow me to finish. I did not interrupt you. Please, sir. So this kind of sweeping statement, at one point you are talking about Arunodaya. Good things are very good, I mean. But then again, you are making this kind of sweeping statement. Sir, not acceptable.
We are trying to.
Let's move on.
We have a question from our audience.
We have a question from the audience. Let's first.
So please try to listen to me carefully and then come out to rebut me.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Barua, now we have a question from the audience. Where is Iftikhar Gilani is joining us on Zoom. Iftikhar, can you hear me? Okay, can you unmute yourself, Iftikhar, and go ahead and ask the question? I think I'll read out his question. He's typed it out for me. Okay, so Iftikhar says this: while in other states like Punjab, 1984 Sikh massacre, and in Gujarat, 2002 riots become election issues, or at least are raised at the time of elections, why Nelly massacre, I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong, why Nelly massacre never becomes an issue in Assam for any community? Some years ago, there was talk of declaring Assam a tribal state to reserve all seats for tribals. Is this riverboating anywhere in this election? Any of the panelists want to answer that?
Well, I think there's the only answer that can be is that the old wounds are not opened up again. We have to go forward and not look backward.
But bringing this car issue and all, I think these old wounds are being opened up. So we have crossed quite decades from Nelly massacre. We want to move ahead, but BJP wants to open up.
We're waiting for another audience question to come in. I'd like to take off from where Aman was talking about. See, why is it that Badruddin Ajmal is a man that we all like to hate?
Well, I definitely don't hate him. You know, I might not. You know, I'm not speaking for him, but I hate him. He is a parliamentarian. He is an Indian citizen, a responsible Indian citizen, and he has all the right to contest election and do whatever lawful is granted to him under the Indian Constitution. Since Badruddin Ajmal Sahab has formed the party in 2005, we have been hearing that in 10 years Ajmal will become the chief minister. That man himself says, I don't want to become the chief minister. And there is a constant fear mongering going on that he will become the chief minister. And I will like to mention what Mr. Himanta Biswa Sarma recently said. He said that, you know, which government do you want in this school? Do you want government of Indian citizens or government or you want Badruddin Ajmal, implying that he is not an Indian citizen. Now, this person is a member of parliament, maybe one of the highest taxpayer in the state, a filthy rich person. This person is being accused as Bangladeshi every day. A member of parliament don't get spared and abused as Bangladeshi protector of illegal migrant every day. You can understand what happens to a normal Indian, right? So this fear mongering in the name of Ajmal is only thing that BJP is resorting to. I mean, the BJP spokesperson said that, you know, half of what thing is about development. Why don't you talk about development? If you have developed so much, I give credit to you for this Arunodaya and everything, giving scooty to young girls. Very good, kudos to you. But why do you want to polarize it? Why do you want to fearmonger the entire state in the name of Badruddin Ajmal? He is a citizen of India. Do you think he's not a citizen of India? Why don't you send border police to his home? Why don't you ask them to investigate? Like
I think
super investigation Sanaullah and Ajmal. Send border police. Drag him to foreign.
We have to move on to.
I think.
Okay, we won't have the time for that. I want to ask you, Sushanta, the question that Mr. Jivani has asked about why we do not have the, do we have an amnesia about the Nelly massacre when it comes to electoral issues, or in just the space, like the political space in Assam? Can you give us a little bit on that?
It's two. One, as Mr. Aman Wadud had already pointed out, people wanted a closure of the issues, all issues.
Yes.
And so the people, there is a political consensus on the compilation and updating the NRC in Assam.
Yes.
Assam is the only state in India which has an NRC, and the NRC was compiled in 1951.
Yes.
So that itself talks about the complexity of the migration history and giving rise to the issues of identities as well as the issues of migration and all. So during the Assam movement and all, Nelly massacre had taken place. Even the victims of Nelly massacre, the families of the victims of Nelly massacre, because I have visited the place many times, they are still subdued. They are often they do not want to talk about their past. I mean the trauma, no. So they also probably thought that with the compilation and updating of the NRC, the issue of identification of the migrants and expulsion in accordance with the Assam Accord, and it will come to a closure. It hasn't happened. So it hasn't happened, and then probably I mean it's not right that we should completely ignore the massacre. It had happened, and it's a traumatic and the worst incident that had happened. And if you talk about Assam movement, Assam history, the movement and the history of Assam movement, Assam agitation, you cannot simply ignore Nelly massacre. You can just as much you have to talk about the movement supporters being killed in police firing, becoming martyrs, 855 being martyrs. Also the others who were killed during the violence that occurred during the movement, that was also part of the history. So you cannot ignore or forget it. No. But then this has not become a part of the narrative because the hopes were there that all these issues will come to a closure. But it hasn't happened.
Yes, these are quite issues, I understand, sir. But let's have the poll results that we had given. We are running short of time, so let's have the poll results and go ahead and talk about the elections and the alliances that are stacked up in the Assam on the both sides. So we had asked, will the new entrants, Akhil Gogoi and Lurinjyoti Gogoi, be the disruptors these elections? You know, they will take away the major chunk of votes from both the parties. So 63% have said yes. 13% have said no, and 25% have said that both the Young Turks will have no effect on the elections this time. So I would like to have Mr. Talukdar answer this. Why do you think the audience have said this?
No, it's simple, because in 2016 the forces, a major section of the force that has opposed CAA supported BJP and AJP and its alliance to come into power. As all Assam Students' Unions, the Assam Jatidawadi Yuva Chhatra Parishad, and all other forces had campaigned for, the campaign for ousting Congress from power and installation of and for the change in the state. These six forces has come out of that support group. So certainly that there will be impact, because they are no longer supporting BJP and AJP in this election. So they are going to, but To what extent they will cause disruption, that we'll have to watch the outcome of the poll.
Yeah, yeah. And
But
also
yeah,
another thing is, yeah, go ahead, Amrita. Yeah.
I just also wanted to ask Sushanta one last question about the tea garden workers' vote. The tea garden workers have been traditionally the a voter base that have gone with the Congress. In the last term, we've seen them vote for the BJP.
Yes.
This term around, obviously, a huge chunk of the tea garden vote is at stake for both parties in the first term of the elections, in the first phase. Can you give us a lowdown about what could be the factors that could lead to them voting?
I think the couple of issues, couple of factors that will impact. See, the BJP government has initiated a lot of programs for the tea garden workers, benefiting the tea garden workers. Some of them includes, like, say, construction of roads, setting up of schools, and then providing financial assistance to pregnant women. And then
sorry to butt in, but there is also a lot of RSS work that keeps on happening within tea gardens, right?
Yes, this organizational, they have also simultaneously built their organization to convert into that support among the from the tea garden workers into permanent organization support for the BJP. So that has happened, and that's where the BJP feels that it is positioned strongly in the tea garden areas. But the Congress is trying to capitalize on the issues of the wages to tea garden workers. And because the BJP promised 351 rupees, but they could not raise it. And so probably that has given rise to new expectation among the garden workers. And the Congress is trying to regain or its lost support base among the garden workers, primarily around the issues of the garden wages. But then the BJP has positioned itself organizationally and are also taking up schemes that is targeted. But then, yes, there are issues coming up, like, say, when they couldn't pay at a rate of 351, then but then they paid 8,000 rupees over the period of 3 years, the financial assistance of 8,000 rupees to its garden workers. But if you had paid 351 rupees, that would have calculated to an amount of 1,55,000. So Congress is trying to build up this narrative among the garden workers, that, and with the promise that they are going to pay 365 rupees. Now, whether how far they are able to woo the garden workers or retain the base among the garden workers, that we'll have to wait and watch.
Yeah, I'll just button here. We have two quick questions from the audience, and then we will go ahead and collect the concluding remarks. So Sumir Karmakar, he's asked us this one question. Congress is promising to scrap the CAA, but why are your leaders in the Barak Valley like Shushmita Deb is not taking part in the anti-CAA campaigns? Will that not hamper your party? This is to Mr. Netraranjan. Could you answer that, sir?
Well, thanks for raising these questions. I'm hearing this question many times in different platforms. See, we have our party stand, and party is very much clear. It's a it's a first guarantee we are providing that once we are into power, we will scrap car. So this is absolutely clear. Of course, some people might have any reservation to this. So this is but a party stand. So we are not bothered about if some leaders or some individuals is against that stand. So we are sticking to party stand, and I can assure you, even through your program, once you're into power, we will scrap CAB in Assam as promised.
Okay, there's another second question from Sumir is again to the Congress party. That is, what is Congress's stand about the post-1971 Hindu Bengalis who are referred to as refugees? Even former Chief Minister Tarun Gogoi had also written to the center seeking some mechanisms for these people. What is Congress's stand on this now? Why is Congress not talking about it now before the polls?
We are saying that the Assam Accord signed between the late Rajiv Gandhiji and Assam's Students' Union, we want to respect that, and this should be the date for Assam's. Look, we cannot take another 43 years, 9 months, 7 days burden on Assam. So this is pretty clear. We are totally supporting Assam Accord, and we rather question BJP always that why they are not implementing the Biplab's some commissions, which even Amit Shah ji said that it will be accepted without changing a letter comma. It's still pending there. Why they are sitting over that recommendation? So this itself shows their intention. And to add to it, as we are discussing across different points like tea gardens and all, two things BJP has done. One is they're trying hard to do religious polarization, and second is beneficiary. Yes, they have created beneficiary. And what is the end result? Let me tell you one figure. In 15 years of Congress
I think
government,
we're
in
ending
15
soon.
years,
Can you please conclude? Yeah.
yeah, I'm just concluding. Just in 15 years of Congress government, there was a debt of 35,000 crores. And in last 5 years only, we have got, I think, 44,000 crores debt for Assam. This is the late economic result they have done for us, not to mention about the unemployment or the socio-economic parameters. They want to tide over this election through propaganda. One is polarizations in the name of religion, and second thing is through beneficiaries. They're not bothered about development. They're not bothered about whatever the promises they made. See, after the car, they should have focused on next in Assam's problem is flood. They promised that dredging of Brahmaputra will be done from Sadia to Dhuburi. They have not done anything on it. So they are least worried about Assam's pertinent problems. They are just diverting the issue to Ajmal only, and they believe that they will tide over this election through these two strategies.
Yeah, Amrita, you can take over from now, please. Yeah.
Can I react to these?
So I think we are out of the time. I think
very quick.
In bullet points, I'll tell you.
Quickly, sir.
So far as tea is concerned, we are trying to accommodate them from plucker to planter, every representation that is possible. That is the status we are going to take them up to. So far, the tea industry had been concerned only about profitability, price, and production, not the per people, the fourth most important component. We are taking care of that, and that is why the tea community is accepting us. So far as taking care of the floods, it has been dwelt in the manifesto fully. My friend from the Congress is not aware about what has been actually happened. He possibly doesn't know that the dredging of Barak is complete and the work has begun on surveying what is required to clear the channel for the Brahmaputra from Sadia to Dhubri. And some bits of work is already on. He may go and have a look at it in the upper reaches of the river.
Okay, I think we'll gather final remarks from Sushanta Talukdar and Aman Wadud, and we'll close for the day. Yes, go ahead, sir.
Yeah, I think this election is not just about a single polarizing narrative. There are multiple narratives. Apart from CAA-NRC, there are also issues of unemployment, price rise, as well as development. Also the issues of the welfare schemes that has been launched. So it's a multiple narrative, electoral narratives that's going to impact these elections.
Okay. Aman Wadud?
You're
have a last word.
Yes.
Okay, if there were enough development, they would not have spoken about creating enemy. They would not have polarized to this extent. They should rather speak about the fuel price rise, the other issue, how they have failed in all fronts, what they have promised, they have failed to deliver, and that is exactly why they are polarizing their state just to win the election.
All right. Yeah.
Can I say our whole election platform is development, and also the security of the indigenous people of Assam, so that we get a safe Assam and a developed Assam.
Thank you all of you for joining us in. I'm just going to hand over to Ahmed for the closing remarks.
Yes. I think we have covered many issues. Assam, yes, as Mr. Talukdar said, there are many issues. It's a multiple layers of issues. And it is to be seen on May 2nd whom Assam will, give the responsibility, to solve these issues, and whom Assam will honor with its gomacha. Is that the right way to pronounce the shawl?
Gamusa.
Yeah. Gamusa, yes, Gamusa. So I think we have come to the end of the program. I really thank all the panelists, Mr. Talukdar, Mr. Wadud, Mr. Choudhury, and Mr. Barua, and Amrita, you too. Thank you for joining today and discussing these crucial elections in Assam. It was the insights that you all have provided were great, and I hope the audience who are listening and who are watching this live along with us will take back something about and learn about what is happening in Assam. So for all, Deccan Herald will be tracking all the state elections from Puducherry, Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Assam, and West Bengal. For any updates and for more information, you can log on to deccanherald.com and you can subscribe to our social media channels to get news updates on regularly. So I think it was great to have everybody on the show. This is Ahmed Shariff signing off from Bengaluru. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you.